Hello and welcome to Spirit of Nature Art and episode 8, the final episode of the Enchanted Garden Altered Lap Book collaboration with the amazing Rachel Tribble. Look at these gorgeous pictures here that I've got to work with from her. And today it's all about the cover and the closure. So I had in my mind that beautiful tree from Rachel. And also I had that bit of rice paper there that I thought might get involved. At this point, I'm really not sure exactly how this is going to go. All I know is that I want to use this gorgeous, gorgeous tree. So I'm going to actually remove this from the mounted board to get me started, and I am going straight in with my craft knife and am cutting out some of the background. I'm not sure at this point whether there, may be some elements raised on foam or what, not sure. So I'm just starting off with using my craft knife and my scissors just to cut out those background areas there so that I can kind of start to see how this might start to look. So I'm also going in and cutting out the backgrounds from those gorgeous spirals down the bottom there. Again, not quite sure what I'm doing, but I'm just doing, because in the doing the ideas start to come. So I've brought out my tiny craft knife now so I can cut out that really small circle in the middle of that kind of spiral there. And as you can see, I'm moving the piece of paper around rather than trying to move my wrist. I find that works much more smoothly and I get a much better result when I'm working that way. And here we go, my poor, very tired, worn out VersaMark ink pen. I am going to go in and do some gold embossing, because really for me, this front page is a celebration of everything that's inside. So if it's on the inside, then I kind of want to represent that on the outside as well. So my embossing pen there around the edges, adding that beautiful gold wow embossing powder, and then heat setting that to get that lovely embossed finish. And I'm doing it in stages rather than all in one go, so that I'm not kind of making thumbprints or kind of wiping off where I've used that ink pen as well. So just doing it in small little stages, getting that nicely embossed. And when it comes to those long straight edges there, I can get my my ink pad out and just use it like this. I find to cover those areas much quicker. And this is where I'm starting to experiment a bit. What do I want behind that tree? Do I want that gold leafing that is used on the inside of the project quite a bit? Not sure. Let's see what else we've got. Dictionary page, that has been used a lot through this project, and actually that to me felt much more what I kind of wanted in the background. So I am just starting off by kind of getting a nice rough edge there and seeing how that is going to sit behind the tree. And now I've got that and can hold that in place, I can kind of be a little bit more accurate with my tearing. So just kind of going in. It was too big and unwieldy before. I couldn't really see and hold it in place to figure out what I wanted to do. So I've kind of gone and glued it down as well before I've then ripped the edges off and just going in with a little bit of that vintage photo ink just to really pop that edge. So now when I hold it against the same picture of the tree there, you can really see that edge popping up. So sometimes doing things like that, the inking as you go along, can help you see how it's going to come together on the page. So I've also decided that I want to put that dictionary page behind the trunk and the swirls at the bottom as well. So I figured the easiest way for me to do this was just to get my my glue stick out and stick it on and then cut around it. So once that's stuck on now, I can start to cut along this line here, because I just want that dictionary page in the kind of swirly bit at the bottom. And just tearing off that straight line along the bottom there. Those fiddly little bits don't always come off in one go, but a bit of patience and you get quite a nice straight finish. So here we go. I'm still using the second version of this that I have, just to kind of put it in place and see what it looks like. I'm thinking at this point that I will put some foam on the back of this tree and then stick it on top of the other tree so it kind of has that 3D effect. But I'm still not sure. And as you can see, I'm faffing around a lot, trying out lots of different things that could go in the background. So we started off with the flower pages that are in the, well, they were part of the original book. I'm just using these to kind of frame so I can see how that might look. I've even brought out some Tim Holtz tissue paper here. No, it doesn't work at all. I mean, it might do somewhere else, but of course that's not used anywhere else in the project. Thinking about this rice paper as well, so I still can't make up my mind. So I decided to put that aside for now and to get on with creating a frame to sit around the tree, whatever goes in the background. So again, echoing what has already been used inside the book. So dictionary pages, nice rough torn edge, lots of distress ink to age it. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm thinking, do you know what? It needs a pop of colour. It's all a bit kind of goldy. So I get out some of those lovely blue butterflies that we used in the forest hut, and that suddenly starts to bring it alive, that pop of colour. And I think I've got butterflies, I want a bird as well. And I remember this beautiful yellow bird in one of the prints that Rachel sent through to me. So trimming that out as well and playing around with how that might fit. And suddenly this tree is kind of feels more like there's more depth. It's popping off the page. There's those kind of pops of colour. It feels like it's starting to come alive. But I'm still thinking about these layers. How can I add that more sense of depth? I've sort of perhaps gone off the idea of having the foam to kind of create that 3D effect. So I'm creating layers in different ways. So I now have one of those pictures of the forest huts in the background, then the dictionary page, then the tree and the details on top of it. So I've torn around that so that again we're echoing those kind of torn edges, and I'm doing exactly what I've done when I've used these pages inside, using that bundled sage distress ink to add that little bit of green in. So just constantly playing around with it. Every time I kind of do something, playing around with it. Does this work? Does something need to tweak? Never being afraid to try. I think that's the thing. It's that having that curious kind of inquiring mind in terms of, well, I wonder what would happen if I did this. And, you know, not being kind of too het up on it, trying to be perfect first time. So that's why I've included a lot of this in here, because it's really easy when you watch videos, isn't it? Just to think, oh gosh, she's just gone straight in and done that. Do you know what? This whole front cover took me a week of playing around with, deciding what to do. I'd leave it like that, go to sleep, come back the next day, look at it and tweak one more thing. It took quite a while for me to be kind of happy with this composition. So I'm just going in and edging now with the vintage photo. That's it. So again, we're kind of getting not only that echo of what's inside, but it when you kind of edge something, just like when we edged the dictionary page underneath the tree, the leaves on the tree, everything just suddenly pops off, and it makes it much easier for us to get that kind of sense of depth in the layers. So now I'm just kind of placing it on the book and seeing where this goes. We can see now that that very bottom layer is a little bit too big. We'll need to kind of tear that down a little bit, but just trying to see how this is going to look in situation and sort of getting some more kind of input into my creative mind. I think sometimes when it's just moving things around and trying them just helps us, oh, excuse my voice there, just helps me to get more ideas as I'm kind of going along. So, of course, we want to bring in some more of that lovely gold embossing. So here I'm just using my ink pad there and going all the way around the edge, adding that lovely embossing powder, just tidying up the edges somewhere sometimes, just to make sure I've got that nice kind of crisp finish. And then heat setting that with my heat gun, just to get that really nice kind of gold edge to it. Makes it feel a bit special. Gold makes everything feel special. So whilst I had cut out that little bird in the background, I had those pieces of paper left on my desk, and I suddenly just thought, oh, I wonder what would happen if I used one of those as the background. And do you know what? That was exactly what it needed. That extra pop of colour, that kind of the enchanted part of the enchanted garden, because look what happens when you place the tree on top. It just looks like the most beautiful night sky, perhaps the kind of northern lights or something. It really makes that tree feel even more magical, and it really pops, and everything just suddenly comes together. So all of that kind of playing around with things was well worth it, because the accidental element of having that on my desk just suddenly brought it all together. I kind of quite like the idea of a little bit of that colour peeping out of the bottom of the tree swirl as well. So I've just kind of taken that little bit off so that you can see that really starting to peek through. And just playing around with the composition of where the bird and the butterflies are going to go. The butterflies kind of hanging off the page a little bit. Again, that adds more depth and layers. So now I've kind of happy with that, I kind of thought really I should have a title on this rather kind of epic project. I've been calling it the Enchanted Garden, so I thought it might be quite nice to have that on the cover. So I've just got another little offcut from that same background piece that I've just used, and I'm using my little type stamps from eBay and more of that VersaMark ink, and again more of that lovely Wow gold embossing powder. And because this paper is that more photographic paper, I'm heat setting it from behind so that I don't kind of bubble up the coating. And then just trimming that down and tearing up a little bit of the dictionary paper just to sit behind it. So it's got a little frame. And before I attach it all together, I'm just using my scissors to rough the edges up a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. And then just using a little bit of that Sizzix Lustre Wax. Again, all things we've done inside. We've had the rough edges on the dragonfly pockets. We've used the Lustre Wax on many of the pages. So here is that kind of final composition. So I'm putting that to the side now and thinking about the closure. And really, I want to use this cabinet. I think this is called a cabinet closure. I got this from Amazon. I'll pop the link below. And really, if I'd have thought about this earlier on in the project, I could have set that in place before I put all the nice finishing touches inside. But I didn't. I thought about it right at the end. So I've come up with a little fix for that. So I think I'm not going to be very good at explaining it, so it's probably easier for you just to see this kind of come to life through the video. But you'll see what I've done here is I've taken some of that ribbon that I've used throughout the project and I've folded that in half, so I've got a nice folded edge. I've placed the edge of one side of that catch up against that edge, and I'm just using my pokey tool to poke holes through and then use these little brads here. I think these are the Tim Holtz brads, just to fix that in place. So because I haven't been able to poke through the spine of the book, this is one way of being able to attach this to that spine without the brad legs going through and being visible on the other side, and turning it into a feature along the way. So, you know, there's always a way to get round something. Yes, the neat, tidy way to do this would have been to put this in place before I put the ribbon on the inside. But actually, I quite like having done it this way now, because it brings out that element from the inside onto the covers as well, so that lovely ribbon. So here again, just doing the same for the other side. I'm just folding that ribbon in half, placing the part of the catch right up to the fold, and then using my pokey tool to create the holes, and then putting the brads through just to set that in place. It's a little bit fiddly, but we get there in the end. So here we go. This is what we've got. The two pieces coming together on this ribbon that will be attached to the front and the back, and those spines. And that means that we can include that ribbon on the outside of the book as well as on the inside, because it's quite a big feature on the inside on all of those spines. So I think it's actually really nice to have it on the outside as well. So I'm just going to, because I'm using that ribbon as well, the gluing down is a lot easier. I'm just using my HiTack glue that I've used all the way through this. And I'm just going to stick it down in stages. I really want to make sure I've got it in exactly the right place, that the catch will kind of work properly, before I then glue that down to the rest of the back bit. So here we go, you can see I'm starting to do that now, and I'll work that glue all the way along. And just now putting the other one in the right position, so I can make sure I've got it in exactly the right place so that the catch is works properly. I'm trying to be clever here, thinking that I will kind of lift that up and put the glue under it whilst it's in position, but it's just not going to work. So just eyeballing that from where I could see that it was going to be, and sticking that in place as well. And I'm holding that down for quite a long time to make sure that I'm getting proper connection there. And I leave this to dry overnight, because if I'm fiddling around with this and it's not dried properly, you know, I could ruin it all. So we can see here how that works. And leaving it to dry overnight means that's really nice and steady now. So now I can start to attach everything else. And I kind of want to soften that really heavy green of the book cover using this rice paper. So I'm just tearing the edges off, so I've got an edge that is a bit softer, and just starting to see how this might go on. It's not going to work this way, because otherwise it's just going to say butt up in that corner. So I'm actually flipping it round the other way, so that when we put that on, we get that nice bit of foliage in the corner. We've got butterfly at the top, and actually, do you know what? It just sits on there much nicer. It feels like it's kind of meant to be on there rather than just plonked on that darker green of the book. So again, I don't do measuring. I put things in place and kind of tear them as I go. And I've also teared out that middle bit because it's going to be a bit wasted, because we're just going to stick the focal point right over the top of it. So I'm just using my matte gel medium here just to adhere this. So I'm putting a layer underneath on the book, and then I'm also going over the top of it as well. So not only is that going to make sure that it sticks properly, but it's also going to seal it so it's much more kind of durable, especially when it's on the outside of the book. And then the bit I tore off, I can now kind of tear that and put that along the bottom. So we're creating this frame for our lovely focal image to sit on top of. And there was a really nice little quote along the bottom as well, and I hadn't realised until I was kind of tearing things up, and I thought how that would really kind of finish that off really nicely. So I just used my HiTack glue just to glue that all down, nothing complicated. And then I kind of thought, well, do you know what? I've got this bit left that I tore out of the middle of that rice paper. I could kind of make a little feature on the back cover here. So that was just one of my little moments when I thought I'd finished, and then suddenly I had this idea to do that. So dictionary pages, little bit of that rice paper, and then I just cut out some more of these lovely flowers we've used in the project before, and finally this hummingbird who hadn't quite made it into the project. So I was really pleased to be able to use it. And of course I edged them with the gold embossing. And the last thing is to stamp on my logo and gold emboss that. That's the last thing I do on every project. That is when I know it is finished. Finished after 8 weeks. Oh my gosh, this is where we started with that book and this delivery from Rachel. Oh my gosh, just going through that box with all of these things in and not having any idea what I was going to do with it. This project literally has evolved every single step of the way, and it has just been an absolute joy to work with what Rachel sent to me. And I know a lot of you are really enjoying it as well. Here's the final piece, everything all together. And for those of you who have been following along, thank you so much for joining me on this project, because it has been pretty epic. A lot of work has gone into it, and I know you guys are putting a lot of work into your projects as well. I think there's a group of you somewhere. Rachel mentioned that there's a group of 10 of you somewhere who are following along together, which I think is just amazing. So thank you so much, everybody. And of course, a huge shout out to Rachel, because honestly, I'd literally just had the idea that I thought I'd quite fancy doing a lap book, and then Rachel messaged me and said, oh, can I send you some of my stuff? And so the two things just kind of collided together at the same time, and look at what has been created. This is just come together in such the most wonderful way. And, you know, of course, with a project like this, I'm afraid, guys, this one's already sold. It's not even going to make it into my shop. It is already getting packaged up and about to wing its way over the ocean back to America, where Rachel's artwork originally came from. So it's going to be weird not having this on my art desk. It's literally been on my desk for like 10 weeks. So it's the strangest feeling, it not being there. I feel a little bit lost, but also quite excited about the next projects. So, so many places. Well, I think there was so much inspiration from this. This page here was me thinking about my garden shed and all the little seed packets shoved into like envelopes. And I wanted to get that kind of aspect of the enchanted garden in there. It's not just about the, you know, the birds and the butterflies. It's about that wonderful little hut. I have a little kind of summer house in my garden that, you know, so that's why I wanted to bring that hut in. That page with all of those lovely little offcuts from Rachel's work that I'd cut up and used to make those tags. The beautiful bunny. Love the bunny. Bunny had to go in there, definitely. And here's where it all started with the dragonfly pockets. Just, that was the first idea that came to me, just cutting out the dragonflies and putting them back in with that kind of rough edge. And then everything just kind of came from there. And these trees, I love the trees so much. Those beautiful kind of spirals in the roots that make you feel like you're kind of about to go into another portal. It's just amazing. So I am so incredibly grateful to Rachel for trusting me with her artwork. When she first contacted me, I was like, really? You do know what I do. I cut things up. And you want me to cut up your artwork. And Rachel has just been incredible and has just supported me every single step along the way. And we're actually talking about some other exciting potential projects. But I think a little bit of breathing space after such a big project like this is always needed. I say this every time, and my husband will tell you, yeah, tomorrow I'll be already making the next big project. So, but here we go. Thank you everybody for following along with me over the last 8 episodes. I'm so pleased with how this has come together. I'm going to leave you with some still shots and some photos of it as well, of the process along the way. And for Roscoe lovers, he has joined us a few times. We might have a picture of Roscoe in there as well, enjoying the enchanted garden. So thank you everybody, and I will see you on the next project soon.